Welcome to the Den. I'm your host, Dan Honcho, and I just want to go over some things that were on my mind the other day. The other night, I guess that was Sunday going into Monday, I pulled an all-nighter. I was up till about 5 in the morning. I couldn't really sleep, a lot of stuff on my mind. And I was working on some things, getting some things prepared for the next day. And I just happened to cut on Netflix, just to have something on in the background. And I see Sticks and Stones here. So I say, man, you know, Dave Chappelle has been one of my favorite comedians since Killing Them Softly. Been a big fan. Love the Chappelle Show, one of my all-time favorite shows. I think most people put that up there. And what's funny about it, I don't even think I caught on the Chappelle Show till season 2 because I never really watched a lot of television. And but I've been a big fan of it. And so I was thinking, did Dave Chappelle, I watched the Sticks and Stones, and when it was all said and done, I was just sitting there thinking to myself, because I don't think anybody else had caught it at that point, or nobody else I knew. I hadn't really seen a lot of people talking about it. Put a little simple tweet out about it. But I was just thinking after it was done, did Dave Chappelle just save the world? Okay, so maybe not so much the world, but I think Dave Chappelle saved stand-up comedy. I think, you know, it always takes that one. Some people call him the martyr or whatever it is, but I don't think he killed us. I think Dave is a special kind of guy because of the way that he's positioned himself over the years. You know, worked really hard. Halfback was one of my favorite movies just when I was really smoking a lot of weed. But the integrity in which he's established himself with. And what I mean by that is you've never heard of a Dave Chappelle scandal. The worst thing you've ever heard about him is turning down $50 million. And everybody said, oh, he went to Africa and he was on crack and he was on but he was still around and, you know, doing little undercover shows, low-key shows and things like that. But anyway, I want to get to this Sticks and Stones and why this may be the greatest stand-up of all time. And some of you say, oh, you're going crazy. You're skipping over Eddie Murphy's and Kings of Comedies. And there's a variety of other comedians that have, you know, Def Comedy Jams and things. You're like, well, watch all the guys you're talking about black. Well, those are some of the funniest ones I've seen. There's been a couple other guys that I find pretty funny. I like Tom Segura and some other folks. But it's not about them right now. The reason why I say this is possibly the best stand-up of all time, not to say the funniest stand-up, but the best stand-up of all time, is because of the timing in which it came in the day and age that we're living in the society we're living in, where everything is cancel culture, where everything is over so woke, where everything is offensive to everybody. Now, he released two other, I can't remember, one was Bird Theory, I believe, and I forgot what the other name was. But, you know, earlier last year or so, when he kind of started coming back around the scene. And those were hilarious. There was a big whiff around, I think he said tranny or something like that in one of them. Or he made a joke about a transgender. And people got mad about it. People got all upset about it. But the beautiful thing about Dave is not giving a fuck. You know, sometimes in life to win, you have to be willing to lose it all. You know, that no risk, no reward mentality. I mean, if you're willing to risk it all, then you open yourself up to the opportunity to gain everything. But he talked about a lot of stuff, and I'm not going to ruin it for anybody who hasn't watched it yet. I'm not going to discuss specifically what he said so much. But all the issues he talked about are things that I've noticed recently comedians have been afraid to say. I love stand-up comedy. I think it's the last safe haven for free speech. You know, the Den. I'm a big proponent of free speech. I love letting people say what they want to say, whether I agree or disagree. So make sure you tune into the lives when you get a chance. And they will be back on schedule hopefully soon. But we will be live this Friday, depending on whenever you catch this video. But the thing I loved about the Dave Chappelle is just, as I'm watching it, and I'm not saying, oh, I'm a psychic, but it's like knowing Dave, kind of having a pretty good idea of his mindset. It's like you knew what he's going to say, but he's like, oh, no, Dave's not going to say it. Not in this day and age. He's not, and he said it. And he was so frank and honest about it. And the thing that made this so excellent is because it's not about us watching at home. It's about the crowd that he performed in front of. He made a lot of jokes about the Alphabet Gang, the Alphabet Society. And he performed this show in Atlanta. And we all know about Atlanta. It is a hotbed for the Alphabet Gang. And the jokes that he made were great. He touched on so many topics. Now, if you ask certain people, they'll swear all he did was talk about gay people. But there was so much more to the show than that. He talked about this cancel culture. And the reason why I feel like Dave is special and he was able to get away with this, and I'm hoping this, and even if so, y'all can try to cancel Dave Chappelle all you want to. That's one of those things where I don't care. I'm always going to be a Dave fan. There's nothing that you're going to tell me bad about Dave. And I mean, unless he like killed my dog or something, I'd still probably be a Dave Chappelle fan. But my thing is this: you have to have a clean slate to be able to get away with these things. He talked about the Louis C.K. situation. He talked about, Juicy Smollett, Jesse Smollett, which is something that a lot of you came to this channel to talk about. And he talked about so many things, and it was so on point because you see it a lot on Twitter. You see it a lot on a lot of these social media platforms, these super woke people who defend the most bullshit. But I think the thing about Dave is that he brings people from all backgrounds, all walks of life together. And if you can't laugh at jokes, well, you're living a fucking shitty life. But the thing is that there's been so many comedians who've been afraid to cross that line, or they toe that threshold. And they're scared because they have so much to lose. Well, Dave is well paid, and I don't think I don't think he's about trying to be a super celebrity. I think he just genuinely enjoys comedy. If you look around, there's different sets and things you can find that weren't really specials, throughout the years when he wasn't, on television a lot. And I mean, just naturally hilarious. A couple of years back when he came in Houston, man, I was fortunate enough to get some great seats and just to see him live and just watch him perform naturally. I'm just a big Dave fan. I mean, it is what it is. You can call me a stan or whatever, I'll own up to that. But the day and age in which we live in, where everything is super sensitive, where everything's culturally offensive, he said some things that make you question a lot of stuff because he makes you think. And that's what's beautiful, but it's hilarious when he does it. And so he talked about the F word, and not fuck, the other F word that, stop saying, not necessarily doing the videos, but on lives I definitely get into it. Because we all know how YouTube is. We all know who they're siding with. We all know what they're promoting. But I see nothing wrong with what he said. But again, when the jokes are in your vicinity, they're close to being about you, people get very offended. I've seen several stand-up comedians, and you see a lot of them say that, everything's funny till it's about you. If you can't laugh at yourself, then you shouldn't be laughing at anyone else. But he said it, enunciated, pronounced it, articulated it so many times during the show. I'm surprised that Netflix, which is generally woke, even aired it. And so to me, I thought it was a beautiful thing because that's what made me fall in love with stand-up comedy, being able to say the things you're not supposed to say. Most comics, if you ever hear about them or you learn about their background, generally they come from circumstances that are not well-to-do. Most comics talk about how they grew up or they were treated a certain way. There's a lot of pain that goes into comedy. Pain and comedy go hand in hand. And when you can laugh at that pain, not a la Kevin Hart, I'm not a big fan of Kevin Hart fan, but it's a beautiful thing because I think we need more than more. That's the problem, is everybody is too sensitive about their problems. And the thing is not about because someone else is saying it, it's because you just can't handle it. A lot of people deal with a variety of issues. Some people let these issues identify who they are, identify how they live, their whole existence. And you have some people say, hey, you know what, this is a part of my life, but does not define this. And the people who do not let their circumstances define them are the people who can find humor in these things. It's the people who identify and label themselves a certain way and approach life through these filters in particular are the ones who just get overly sensitive about it. Now again, I'm saying this is not the funniest stand-up I've ever seen, but this may be the best stand-up because of the context, the timing, and again, well, my favorite comedian performing. Because again, you go and I watch quite a bit or I've watched here and there when I get the time. I'll watch a stand-up on Netflix. That's the only reason I think I still have a Netflix subscription. But you can see where a lot of these people are going with their life. And a lot of them aren't really that funny. And so it's a beautiful thing to me, because the next thing I had is, I know Eddie Murphy is supposed to be doing a stand-up, I think, with Netflix very soon. And my question with Eddie Murphy was like, well, is he going to be raw, delirious Eddie Murphy? Or is he going to be some type of new age Eddie Murphy who is towing the line? And Dave setting this standard, and I'm sure they probably already have the special recorded or whatever it is going to be for Eddie Murphy. Hopefully not, maybe not, who knows? But with Dave setting this standard that, hey, these things are okay to say, I want to see how this is going to impact stand-up comedians now in the near future. Because again, like I say, a lot of these comedians, they say outrageous stuff, they'll say disrespectful stuff, but they don't toe that social commentary line. They're very cautious of what they say, to who they say, and when and where and why. So I just wanted to say shout out to Dave Chappelle, shout out to everybody who enjoyed it. And then, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, because that's important. But I just had to put my thoughts out there, because I thought that this was greatness. I'd like to know your thoughts. Do you think that this is the greatest comedy special ever? Do you think it's the funniest? Maybe it might be the funniest to you. Do you think it's the best? I mean, what are your opinions on it? I'd love to know your opinions on it. What joke stood out to you the most if you saw it? If you haven't seen it, I suggest you do whatever's in your possible to make that the next thing you watch. I recommend it for everyone, even if you're not a big Dave Chappelle fan, and I don't know how you couldn't be. You probably have a terrible sense of humor. I recommend you check it out. But I just want to offer my brief thoughts on that. I'm your boy Ed Honcho. This is The Den Show. Make sure you follow The Den Show on all the proper social medias listed down below. And make sure you check out the links in the description if you want more of The Den. Shout out to all the Den folks, you Dengenerates, you denizens, and all you friends of The Den. I appreciate you all. And like I said, we will get back to the live streaming on a regular basis, hopefully sooner than later. We've got some things to handle up, but hey, if you enjoyed, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share this video with a friend. But it's your boy Ed Honcho. Y'all be cool like y'all be cool. Until next time, I'm out.